Right, I think this is part 9. Right, so fundamental reform, what does that mean? It means we have to stop paying the bankers all our money. Money is defined as the economic value of something. It's the value that we give an object, like this remote control. That's worth 50 quid. Now, one way that we could change the value of the economy is to take some noughts off. Instead of 50 quid for this, we knock it down to £5. £5. 10% of everything is its true value, we could argue. Right? This, whatever this is, we could say that's worth 10p instead of £1. That would then anger the corporates who are worth $600 trillion. If we implement this change, they'd only be worth $60 trillion. And then we can go even further and say, well, you've been robbing us blind for the last 65 years. And okay, fine, 65 years ago you helped us defeat fascism. Adolf Hitler died in his bunker for a good reason. And we ended the war in 1945. Right? We could go even further and say everything's worth 1% of what it's worth now. We can just revalue it. It's an intellectual decision to pay that amount of money. And that is how it is. $800 for an ounce of gold, for example. We agree to pay $800 for that ounce of gold. But we could also argue that that ounce of gold is actually worth $8. And then we can instantly change the numbers. Instead of owing the Rothschilds 600 trillion, we owe them 6 trillion. Or we could do a second way. We could say, right, Mr. Rothschild, your electricity companies have been robbing us blind for 100 years. We're taking those companies out of your administration, but we're going to manage them responsibly. We're going to nationalise them in the public interest, because we consider electricity to be more essential than your profit. Therefore, we the people get the profit from that moment on. And we can drive down costs, we can switch off the coal-fired power stations. Those products become our ownership, we own them. Now this is the big radical change that we need to investigate, we need to discuss, we need to debate. Is it sensible to nationalise essential services like electricity, water, gas? Because the gas comes out of the ground and then the gas companies pump that gas to your cooker. But then all they're doing is pumping the gas, they're not actually owning the gas. You own the gas, we own the gas, because it's under our feet. It's underneath our feet as we speak. And the gas companies, the oil companies, they just they drill the stuff, pump it up and send it off. Now, is it right that nationalisation is the way to go? Because, you know, people are in fuel poverty. I think the average electricity bill for the UK is £1,100 per year. That needs to come down, because at the moment, I think somebody said it's 300-400 parts per million that we're chucking out in carbon dioxide. I'm not 100% sure on the details, but the point is we're chucking out millions and millions of tons of pollution, and that pollution needs to stop, because if we don't, the Sahara Desert will be the size of Africa, and Britain will be a desert, and Siberia will go, and that will create more problems, more pollution. The methane deposits that are currently frozen in Siberia will get released, and then instead of 400 parts per million, we'll be talking about 4,000 parts. Whatever the details, it doesn't matter. The point is The corporates are not fixing our backyard. They're not giving us solar power on our roofs, for example. The landlords don't like it for a start because it's not their electricity, it's my electricity, and so on. And they are profit-based organisations. Now, is it profitable to keep robbing us blind, or is it more profitable to nationalise these companies and to put them into direct public ownership so that the shareholders are not corporate slaves like they are at the moment, but they become us, the voters, the electorate. We own the electricity companies like we used to do in the war when Churchill, one of the first things he did was nationalise all national industries. Furniture makers ended up making Spitfires and so on. Car makers made tanks, that kind of thing. Now, it's now proven that we, mankind, have warmed up the planet. Therefore, we are creating climate change. Therefore, it is our responsibility, not the kids' responsibility, not our grandchildren's responsibility, not necessarily our grandparents' responsibility because they've retired. It's not their responsibility anymore. It's our responsibility from, say, 18 to 60, 65. That group of people have to fix the planet to stop it burning up. Now, is it responsible for us as people to own these polluting industries, to nationalise essential services? That's the debate that I would like to take to Parliament. That is the debate that I would like to talk about. Is it also right that we have to fundamentally change the way we govern ourselves because we the people are getting screwed? We're getting robbed, we're getting blinded by all the deception. Paragraph 1 in accordance to paragraph 10 and so on. All this obfuscation, all this deceit is bad. Now, if I'm right, you'll vote for me and you'll put me into Parliament on the mandate that I'm there to change it, to find out where we can change it and how we can change it and what we need to do to change it. Or the point of view that Gordon Brown would love you to think is that, oh no, government's fine. Government's not the problem. It's us. It's the guys speeding down the motorway at 66 miles an hour. It's us for breaking the window. It's us who are not paying our fines. It's us, we the people, who are the problem. It's not. We, on the whole, just want to be left alone. 54% of us want a general election. Now that's a change that needs to be developed. That's a change that needs to be talked about. It needs to be debated. It needs to be debated in Parliament. Now, if Parliament are not asking those questions, how fundamentally wrong is Parliament? That's the question you need to ask. Why should I vote for a corrupt system if I'd rather watch football, if I'd rather watch the X Factor, if I'd rather watch EastEnders or whatever? While you're watching EastEnders, they're creatively inventing new ways to rob you. The interest rate to the banks have gone up 1%, say. They need to increase their profits by 1% to cover the cost of the inflation, of the interest, of the, oh, we need to replace all our computers, that's going to cost us 10 million quid. Keep the old computers, don't worry about it, they're fine. They're only adding up numbers anyway, so writing letters, sending emails. So I'm going to leave, this will be my last part. We need to ask, what do we need to do to change Parliament? If you agree with me, vote for me. My name is Stephen J. Humphrey, independent candidate for Bournemouth East, and hopefully soon we'll have a general election. Alright, leave it there for now.